I just got finished watching Manchester City 4, Borussia Dortmund 1. And you know what? Decent game for a neutral. I know the 4-1 score on paper might seem like Manchester City absolutely battered them, but I have to give credit to Dortmund today. I think they had a lot of chances. I think they threatened City throughout that game, and on a different day, maybe this game's a whole lot more closer in terms of a scoreline. But look, Manchester City were very emphatic with their finishing today. They were very decisive, and at the end of the day, I would say deserving of the win. But I'm just trying to say here, it wasn't an absolute whitewash here. I think the 4-1, it makes it look a little more generous to City than it actually was. I'm going to get into this game. I'm going to talk about Phil Foden. Honestly, such a sublime game from him. Erling Haaland continuing his ridiculous goal-scoring arc. Rayan Cherki, my favorite player in the game at the moment, again with another decisive moment for Manchester City. Before I do, I want to say I saw a lot of people asking where I was for the Bournemouth game. Why didn't I make a reaction to Cherki getting 2 assists? Played an amazing game. Look, I was sick the last 4 or 5 days. I was on my deathbed. I just about got a review out for the Man United game the day before. The City game, I'm sorry, guys. I was stuck in bed, so couldn't get you guys that. However, we are here today for the City game. And look, City for me are a team that I think the word I use to describe them is intriguing. I'm intrigued by Man City. And I'm intrigued because I think for the first time in Pep's entire City tenure, his City side entered a season almost under the radar. I feel like every season City enter a league campaign, they either enter as one of the favorites or the overwhelming favorite for the league title. And this year, I think, was the first time ever since he's joined the club that people looked at Liverpool and people looked at Arsenal before even considering Man City. In fact, I think Man City, for most people, were everyone's distant third, right? They're too good to miss out on top 4, but maybe they're just not there in terms of going all the way for the league. And look, I'm not going to go out and say that I think they're going to win the league this season. I know what my eyes are telling me right now. Arsenal look like the best team in the country at the moment. They look like the team with the least weaknesses. They look like the team with the highest floor. They look like the team that's the hardest to beat. They barely concede chances, let alone actual goals. It's a ridiculous side at the moment that just have such a head of steam. And for me, at the moment, look like the team destined to win the Premier League. That's not to say they will, but they look well equipped to do so. However, I think Man City, again, they're intriguing. They intrigue me a lot because they lost 2 of their first 3 games. I think everyone discounted them at that point. And yet, 10 games in the league campaign, 4 or 5 games into the Champions League, they just keep chugging along, right? Honestly, they just managed to keep on going. Today was not a pretty performance. It wasn't. The game against Bournemouth, I wouldn't say was perfect either. They lost to Villa a few weeks ago. And yet, more often than not, they are just winning games. And I think the fact that they're winning games and no one can pretty much say Man City are at their absolute apex yet is cause for concern for the rest of the league, to be honest with you, because it's almost a case of if they continue to get results in these games and continue to just stay afloat in the title race, what happens if they ever do kind of click? Will they ever click? Is there a higher level for City to reach this season? I think there might be. And look, let's talk about the first player from today, the guy who is keeping them afloat at the moment. That's Erling Haaland. I mean, Erling Haaland had a goal today, which I guess for his own lofty standards is poor, because I feel like with Erling Haaland, if he only scores 1 goal, and especially in a 4-1 game, it's like, what went wrong? Why didn't you score 2 or 3? But the guy's absolutely ridiculous. I'm really running out of superlatives to describe him. He's now the first player to ever score in 5 successive Champions League games for 3 different clubs. Yeah, you thought the stat was just 5. Come on, bro. He's done it 3 different times for 3 different clubs. The guy's a freak of nature. But more so than just that, I know his numbers are ridiculous this season. And honestly, I don't even think it's worth talking about them. I've spoken about them numerous times this season. But I think the thing of Erling Haaland this season, the real evolution to his game this year is how good he's been on the ball. The narrative around Haaland has always been that he's an incredible goal scorer, not an incredible footballer. And look, I'm not going to go out of my way to call him Messi level. He's not. Would I say he's the most naturally gifted footballer in the world? I wouldn't say that. I don't think he was more naturally gifted than even De Bruyne on his own team. So that's not to say I think he's all of a sudden now the most talented player in the game. Okay, what I value as talent, I don't see him as that. But I think there's a balance to everything, right? And I think for a long time, the conversation from a lot of casual fans about Haaland has been that he's a poor footballer. Roy Keane famously said that he's got the talent of a League One player a few years back. And I think that's completely untrue. And I think this season, more than any, is really showcasing that. You know, in NBA, we say like, oh, he's got a tight handle, right? His handle is extremely tight. The ball doesn't ever really leave his hand. I think Erling Haaland's got a tight touch. He looks a little uncomfortable at times, naturally because he's 6'5". Most players at that height are going to look a little, not clunky, but they're not going to look as fluid as someone like Rayan Cherki, for example, on the ball. But Erling Haaland very rarely loses the ball in tight situations in his own, like in his own zone. You know what I mean? He had a few instances today where he's double teamed, triple teamed, and he's almost finding a way out of it pretty seamlessly, right? At no point are you really seeing Erling Haaland showcase poor technical ability. Now, is he a player like Henry or Ronaldo Phenomenal who picks up the ball on the flank and runs past 3 players and then scores a wonder goal? He's not that kind of player. He will never be that kind of player, more likely than not. I mean, if he evolves into that, God forbid, wow, we're all in trouble, right? But I think when you actually talk about like the skill set that a number 9 needs, his technical ability is actually great, guys. I'm not gonna lie. One thing that we talk about when we talk about technical ability, how many times does Erling Haaland find himself with 30 yards of space to run into before eventually getting to goal? There's about 5 or 6 touches that Erling Haaland is taking in that run. And how often do you see Erling Haaland, again, with 5 or 6 touches to take to get through on goal, ever mistouch the ball? Or ever take a heavy touch, or a loose touch, or a touch that allows the defender to get into frame? Never. Every single touch is typically perfect. So I think that's something that Haaland this season has just evolved in his game. Honestly, every single season, I feel like he adds something to his arsenal. And this year, I think it's his overall game is just so much more on display. Now, is that also because City are playing a bit more openly this year and maybe Haaland has the chance to do so? Perhaps. That's up for debate as well, too. But I think this year, Erling Haaland just looks that much more complete. And that's a scary sight for everybody that isn't a Man City fan, because he's already a fantastic player without that, without even touching the ball that many times. Now you're seeing him even more involved in the game. It's terrifying, man. And again, maybe not specific to this game, but another thing I'm loving about Haaland this year is I feel like he's throwing his body a little more into guys. Honestly, obviously, he's always been a terrific physical player, right? That clip was against Brentwaite or against Palace or Brighton, where he's just shoving defenders shoulder to shoulder. But I always kind of felt the last few seasons with Haaland, there are times where he's back to goal and guys are playing him super aggressively, and I think he's letting them get away with too much. I'm sorry, man. Erling Haaland is 6'5", tall, strong, explosive. In my eyes, there shouldn't be a single center back alive that can physically give him anything. Right? Drogba, I love the guy. Drogba would literally almost carry defenders on his shoulders at times. You can't get the ball off of him. And I don't see why that shouldn't be the case consistently with Haaland. And I think over the past few seasons, there's been moments in games where I'm like, Haaland, you let him get away with too much, man. Like, that guy shouldn't have any chance with you. This year, I mean, the goal against Brentford for me is the perfect encapsulation of it. Guys even trying to get into 50-50s with Erling Haaland are being thrown on their backside, or being tossed to the side, or being left in the dust. And that's what he should be doing. He is the single most destructive force of nature in the game from a physical aspect. And I love that he's showing it this year. Erling Haaland took his goal terrifically today. I thought it was a great performance from him. Wearing the armband as well, too. He is becoming the face of Manchester City. I'm talking about, like, obviously he's the biggest name in the Premier League at the moment, but wow, I think he's well on his way to one day retiring as Man City's greatest ever player. That's my hot take. Another guy today, it might not have been the Erling Haaland show, but it was certainly the Phil Foden show. Took both of his goals sublimely today, and Foden is a very, very gifted finisher. I think when we talk about Foden's aspects that we really like, his technical ability, his close control, his footballing brain, his shots from distance, Foden's a very, very talented finisher. He's very, very good at just finding corners and placing it. And today, I loved both goals today. Unbelievable finishes. And they were very reminiscent of like Cole Palmer when he is in front of goal. Like, he doesn't really go for power. He just finds the corner, puts enough pace behind it, doesn't even leave the ground. Nothing the keeper can do about it. And I'm happy for Foden, man, because we know what the season he had last year. It was an absolute disaster. But I think what's important to remember with Foden is the season he had before that. He was the PFA Player of the Year, guys. And I know City fans don't forget that, but I think rival fans often do. Or maybe they choose to ignore it. This guy was named by his peers as the best player over an entire season in the Premier League. And I think we just sometimes sniff over that. We never sniff about it when it comes to Salah or when Ronaldo did it or when Hazard did it. And granted, those guys have shown much more consistency than Foden has. I'm not trying to say Foden is better than any of those guys. I'm not. But I think sometimes we undermine what it means to be considered the best player in the league for one season. That's an accomplishment right there. He was the best player in the league for the best team in the league. That deserves flowers, man. And I feel like with Foden, sure, look, the Euros that came after that was a disaster. And last season was a disaster too. But I think because of how bad they were, people all of a sudden just decided he's not good at football. He's overrated. He's no good. I'm sorry, this is still one of the best talents in England. Do we want to see more consistency from him season in, season out at his current age? Yes, we do. Hey, I will never escape that. But to completely disregard how good of a footballer this guy is, like I have seen a lot of people do. Now, granted, I'm not going to pretend that the mainstream media, in terms of like pundits and stuff, don't protect Foden, because I think they are very, very generous with Foden, if I'm being honest. But social media, rival fans, they give this guy no grace whatsoever, despite the amount of big moments he has had at Champions League level, at Premier League level, I find him to be disrespected by rival fans. By your everyday fan, I don't think Foden gets enough flowers. This is still a top player. And if Man City are going to accomplish what they want to accomplish this season, a lot of that lies on Phil Foden being the second in command to Erling Haaland. Right? We know Erling Haaland this season will end the season with probably 40 to 50 goals. I can predict that. If he doesn't, something went wrong. But at the moment, it does feel like when Haaland's not scoring goals, Man City don't have that much of a solution to unlocking defenses. That's shown by the numbers, right? I think Haaland has 13 goals in the Premier right now. Second place has 1. That's got to change if City want to win the league this year. You need guys contributing across the team. And look, when I look at City, I think there's 2 players that I could reliably say will get you 15 goals plus. That's Erling Haaland and that's Omar Marmoush. And I don't even think the two of them should play together. I think Marmoush should be the backup, a guy off the bench playing the odd game. And in my City strongest 11, Marmoush will not start for City. Having said that though, if Foden can return to that goal scoring form of 2 seasons ago, that's another name that you can rely on if you're a City fan to give you game winning moments. You can't win a league with 1 player. You can't. It's impossible, right? As good as Haaland is, he cannot win the league on his own. You have to have contributions across the pitch. Foden is of that quality. And I think the way he started the season, very, very impressive. I have to say as well, too, I like the role he's playing at the moment in a midfield 3, a bit more withdrawn. I think it shows that it requires a bit more from him in terms of influence across the 90 minutes. I do find at times over the past few years, he gets too comfortable just sitting in zone 14, if you will, between 2 defenders, asking for the ball through the lines. That's a tough pass to play. You don't get it all the time. Here, I think it requires more responsibility during the game for Foden to get involved. And I think he's really thriving in that at the moment. I've been really impressed with Foden's start to the season. There's so many players I can wax lyrical about with City today. I think Nico Gonzalez continues to shine every single game. And for me, him and Kuzanov are kind of in the same boat. Whereas when you have a reputation, it's very, very difficult to shake it off. And it's very easy to pick up a reputation. The biggest proof of that is Gabriel Magalhaes, who for years had the Bozo tag following him, and he practically had to put together 3 to 4 world-class seasons until guys finally started giving them his flowers. Upamecano is similar at the moment, right? Upamecano for me has been brilliant now for 2 seasons, or probably more, but that night against Haaland will never leave people's memories, unfortunately. Nico Gonzalez has that game against, was it Brentford or was it in the Cup? I think it was in the Cup, where he made a mistake and I think the opposition scored. And I feel like since that moment, and similar to Kuzanov against Chelsea, no matter how good they've been since that moment, people kind of have this opinion on them, and it's because of this reputation that they can't get rid of. But Nico Gonzalez has done a fantastic job this season of filling in for Rodri. A fantastic job. You look at this run that City are on at the moment, where I think it's 1 loss in their last like 7 or 8 games. Nico Gonzalez is at the heart of it, and I think he's playing really, really good football at the moment. Like, City are on a great defensive team for me. They have an amazing goalkeeper, but I think they concede way too many chances. And I think they concede even more if it wasn't for Nico. I'm really impressed with him on the ball as well, too. Really, really talented footballer. I'm a fan. I'm really a fan of him. But if I'm being critical of City today, I think they got away with it a little bit. Dortmund today threatened. And I know every game, it's 2 teams that play, especially a team of the quality of Dortmund. But I think today, City allowed way too much from Dortmund because on a different day, right, Dortmund probably scored 2 or 3 today. City probably deserved to win that game. But I think Dortmund had way too many moments where you just think to yourself, oof, hey, Adeyemi, better finishing there. That's 1-0 Dortmund. Or, oh, Guirassy, better touch right there. And that could have really been something. The goal they score, fantastic finish from, what's his name, Anton. And that's a goal, nothing City can do about it, right? Nothing Donnarumma can do about it. Really well worked free kick. But I still feel with City, they need more goals from other areas of the pitch. And I think defensively, they still need to keep it a lot more tight. At the moment, for me, there's still too many question marks during games where I think to myself, oh, these guys do not look as invincible as they looked in previous seasons. They still need to shore it up a little at the back. But to wrap it up, I want to talk about my favorite player in the game, Rayan Cherki. What a joy, man. Pep, this guy gives me 10 minutes of Cherki and is like, okay, enjoy the 10 minutes. And trust me, I do. Wow. Cherki in 5 to 10 minute cameos still finds a way of creating moments of magic that stick with you. And that for me is the real definition of a footballer. Henry had this amazing quote on CBS yesterday. I loved it. Honestly, he was talking about how there seems to be a lack of players that make you want to actually watch the game. You can quantify goals, you can quantify assists, but how do you quantify a player that makes you literally go out of your way to watch them? And he said, well, obviously there was Messi, there was Ronaldo, Hazard. I know Henry loves Hazard, but he referenced today, he sees Yamal and he sees Olise. And I know Henri coached Cherki at the Olympics, and Cherki did not have a great Olympics, to be honest with you, but I put Cherki in that conversation. I love watching this guy play, and people think I have this bias towards Cherki. People think I'm a Cherki fan. No, guys, I'm a fan of geniuses in football, and I'm sorry, this might have glazing or whatever, guys. I'm a grown man. Forget about glazing. This guy's like a fantastic player, man. A fantastic player, and I urge you guys, if you're not City fans, to really just go out of your way and enjoy him, because I still find there's so much misinformation spread about this guy. There's so many false narratives spread about this guy. And some people might be saying, yes, you're the one who called him an anti-Pep player. I've already explained that stance before in a video before. I urge you guys to watch that. But I really hope you guys don't think me calling him an anti-Pep player was a slight at Cherki. It wasn't. I just don't really see the two of them as like natural fits. And even when I'm watching them right now, I still do feel like Cherki is almost balling out on his own. That's not to say that him and Pep cannot work together, but I still do feel like, oh, City are playing a certain way, and then Cherki comes on and just changes things because he seems to be on a different wavelength to everyone else. Fantastic player, man. And I'm telling you, these cameos that he's performing right now, like the game against Bournemouth, the whole world is talking about it. I watch a lot of Cherki, man. That's not even like 60% of Cherki for me. I honestly think there's so much more to come from this guy. There's so much more to come. You're seeing now, like, his ability to play make. You're seeing his ability to find runners. That's the base level of Cherki, man. This guy is capable of ridiculous things. And I think you're starting to see it week in, week out. But the real proof will come when you give him and Haaland a 10-game run together. I promise you guys. Give Erling Haaland and Rayan Cherki a 10-game run together, and they will destroy everyone in front of them. Because that level of playmaking mixed with that level of inevitability in front of goal is a scary sight for everybody. Everybody. In my eyes, those two will end up being the best duo in the Premier League. I do. I absolutely do. They are terrific. And the only thing I'm asking, Pep, play him more, man. Like, why do I gotta wait the last 10 minutes to watch Cherki? Why? I understand he's coming back from injury, but come on, man. He's been back for like 5 weeks now. Surely I'm not the only one that feels this way, right? 5 minutes against Aston Villa, 10 minutes against tonight, 5 minutes against Villarreal the other day. Come on, man. Give me 90 minutes. Give me 90 minutes of Cherki. That's all I'm asking for, please. I'm not asking for a day. I'm not asking for a month. I'm not asking for a year. Can you give me 90 minutes? That's it. That's it, man. Please. Fantastic player, man. Fantastic player and fantastic performance for Manchester City. They continue, like I said, they're not the City anymore that are just going to storm past teams and put the world on notice, but they're just chugging along. My question is, how long can they keep chugging along until they finally just click? And all of a sudden, hey, title race just might get a lot more interesting. It's a big test for them this weekend. For them and Liverpool, because I feel like either team that wins this, hey, they might be in a situation too difficult to recover. Like, right, I think right now, City are 6 points behind Arsenal. Liverpool are 7. Let's assume Arsenal win this weekend. Any of those teams that are 9 or potentially 10 points behind Arsenal, even at this point in the season, that's tough, guys. That's tough. So City, Liverpool, that's one to look out for. And please, that's why I want to see Cherki. Cherki inverts. The conversation that dominated the world this summer. Let me see Cherki inverts, man. Let me see him go at it. Classic number 10 battles. I'm here for it, man. Shout out to Manchester City. Give me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who was your man of the match? What impressed you? What worried you? Leave a like, share, subscribe. Guys, we're almost at 100,000 subscribers. As you guys know, I am trying to get to 100K by the end of the year. Can only do it with your guys' help. So yeah, man, get involved. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.